Thanks again for tuning into the Coding Fanatic YouTube channel. I'm your host Richard, and I'm an Android developer with a focus on growing efficiently. I do it by focusing on my projects, seeing them through to completion, learning new skills, and figuring out better ways to work alongside other people. And my goal with this channel is not only to do that for myself, but to teach you all, new developers and people on the fence about computer science, how to do the same. If that sounds like something that you are interested in, then hey, hit subscribe. For those of you that are new to the channel, I am in the process of learning the Kotlin programming language. It is a tool that can be used for front-end Android development, as well as a few other stacks as well, but I'm using it specifically for Android development and using it. This is a way to document my experience. The first thing I figured out was how to write a method or function. Same thing, subroutine, whatever you want to call it. Block of text that you can invoke or call upon, and it runs through whenever you invoke it. Now, my first attempt with Kotlin, I didn't know anything, and I tried to build like a silly little just like function that would do something, but I couldn't figure out the right syntax. I realize now that in order to build a function, you must preface it with the fun keyword. Fun, like function.
You're not having fun, are you?
No.
Then you can't be in my club. You have to have fun to be in this club. It's the fun club.
Function it's called the same thing in, if you have any experience with C++ for people who've taken classes in software development, and you know a little bit about it. It's called the same thing, but effectively they're the same name for the same thing. Function, subroutine, method, they're all blocks of text that you can invoke at any time. Now, my mistake was that last time I tried to create a class which I don't know why I thought that was the way to do it, because even in Java, if you want to invoke a method, you just create the method. But there are different keywords that go into it, so I guess my brain was trying to play around and figure it out when the obvious choice was, well, it wasn't obvious, but fun. The fun keyword is what you need to identify a function. Now, the way it works is when you add that keyword, the Kotlin compiler is able to determine that you have a function there because you prefaced it with the fun keyword. So I learned something. Either way, I was able to fix the program that I was working with a couple weeks ago. Now, while outputting the text, I realized that it uses the same methods as you find in other languages like Java, print and print line, but Kotlin allows you to play with text a little differently. You can do things, you can manipulate it in a new way, but I'll come back to this in a bit. The next topic I covered was the dreaded variables and data types. Every language has them. You got to figure out how to assign a value and save it in a certain memory address and use that with variables. Now, Java and C++ both have a series of data types for just for numbers alone. I think there's like 3 or 4 different data types. I mean, there's integers, doubles, which are decimals, then the decimals expand to floats and long, and there are so many different things you have to keep in mind and learn so that you can understand the right way to initialize a variable and assign it the proper value. Then there's typecasting and all things like that. So sometimes you might have a number and you want to cast that as a string. Other times you want to create objects that are also numbers, but it gets very complex. Kotlin streamlines the whole thing. All you need is the val keyword for value. You preface your variable with the val keyword, so like val first name, and you just use the assignment operator as you would with any other language, and you assign a value. That's it. You don't have to memorize different types. You just say, hey, I want a variable that's going to hold, I don't know, social security number. Okay, val social equals, and that's it. You're done. You don't need to there's no type of, you don't have to memorize all these different variables or data types. It's just, create a variable, and you assign it a value. It's so simple. It's easy. Now, this saves a lot of time because when I first started with Java, that was one of the biggest humps for me, was going through all the different chapters that talk about, well, this is how you use a string, this is how you use an integer, this is how you use a boolean, and this and all these. Nope, just value and then the name of your variable, and that's it. Now, I'm not sure how this extends to booleans and other more advanced data types, but thus far, for strings and any type of number, whether it be an integer or a decimal or whatever, it works pretty well. Bringing it back to the Kotlin compiler, you don't have to discern between these data types because the compiler will know what type of data it's dealing with when it reads in the value of the variable. So you don't have to tell the compiler what data type it is because it already can figure it out on its own. So that's pretty cool. Now, remember what I said earlier about how Kotlin allows you to play with text or strings a little differently? Let's make an example here. Let's say you wanted to output you had a string literal, right? That said, my name is Richard, I'm 90 years old. And you wanted to replace the part that says Richard and say, well, I want this program to work for other people. So we should be able to grab their name, have them input their name, store that in a variable, and then add that to the string instead. So you would separate that part where the name is, left and right, using concatenation operators, and you would insert the variable there. So your text would look something like this. It seems pretty straightforward, right? You are combining a series of string literals and a variable. You're just putting it all together to make one single output. Now, what if I told you there's a better way? Now, Kotlin allows you to insert the variable into the string literal itself. No concatenation operators, no cutting up the string, none of that. You just throw it right in there. All you need to do is insert the name of the variable encased in curly braces and prefaced by the money symbol. And the Kotlin compiler takes care of the rest. Now, this is similar to the new line or the escape sequences that you find in Java, where you can augment your string literal with some little, like a backslash and a code, but in this case you're using the money symbol to denote a variable or an expression. One last thing, the Kotlin Playground IDE uses Kotlin version 1.4.1, although 1.4.2 was recently released. I don't think this should be a problem. It shouldn't present any issues for learning the basic syntax, but I would recommend that when you use tools like this for learning, that you install locally to your machine and make sure to keep it up to date so that your setup has parity with all of the latest changes that are available for whatever tool you're using. So everything seems it's going pretty well so far. I am catching on very quickly, and it seems that Kotlin really is, it's truly designed for efficiency. It's just the way that you set up variables alone is fantastic. I don't have to memorize any data types or anything like that. To be honest, that was part of what kept me away from Kotlin for a long time, was I was nervous about having to learn pretty much start all the way over. But when you learn it, I feel my experience, this is my 4th or 5th programming language, you don't really start over per se, at least in the case of for front-end development tools, things like this. But like going from C++ to Java to JavaScript and then now to Kotlin, you don't really start over. It's more like if you understand the basics of the language and like the specific building blocks, and then as you go into the more advanced levels, then you start to see where they're set apart. It's the same thing as training martial arts, right? It's all about discipline, sure, but the main idea is that you have forms and routines that get your body prepared to best utilize the forms in a combative environment. every style focuses on different ways of dealing with the combat, but overall, you know there's going to be some kind of physical training that go so that your body gets right, and then from there you go into, okay, this is how you can use your body based on the training thus far, you know. But you know, it's pretty. I like Kotlin. I like it. I'm having a good time with it, and I'm looking forward to moving forward with the language from here on out. So yeah, thanks you all. Thanks again for tuning in to the Coding Fanatic YouTube channel. I'm your host, Richard, and if you like content like this, then, you know, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Turn on notifications, and you'll see when I upload new videos like this each week. And also head to the Coding Fanatic YouTube channel. Well, you're on it right now. Head to the Coding Fanatic website and subscribe. Join the mailing list, and you'll know when I put out new content like this before anyone else. So yeah, thanks again, everyone. I'll update you some more as I move forward with learning Kotlin, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.